you're obsessed with the Connie Pheiff Show. It's about a lifestyle shift to move up or out.
Hey, what's your jam? What's the one thing that really drives you? What makes you unstoppable?
It's about opening a new door to live your dream.
People give up way too early on their dreams.
It's about enjoying the journey. It's about keeping it real.
Damn, now the interviewee is interviewing the interviewer. I like this.
It's all about you.
I knew there was something else I wanted to do. Stop taking shit so seriously. Y'all can do this. Take an outrageous look at life and laugh.
This is the Connie Pheiff Show.
We love your voice. We love your jam. You need to be on radio.
And now your host, Connie Pheiff.
Well, hello, it's Connie Pheiff, your Unstoppable Diva, and you're listening to the Connie Pheiff Show. I am super stoked. I'm so excited. We've had some incredible guests on the show that are coming on the show, and the show itself, we have just taken on a whole new network, a whole new country. I mean, we're hitting 210 countries now. I just got another report this week, and it's a combination of all of the networks. Like we're hitting like 6.5 million views per month now. It's just I'm like overly excited about that. But I just wanted to share that. And I'm not one, I just don't want to feel like, oh, I'm bragging and, about everything that's happening. But we have so many exciting things happening and going on here. So I'm just asking you to continue sharing the show. And thank you to those who have shared it. And when you share, we have gifts, we have giveaways, we have T-shirts, we have autographs from Taylor Lynn, Loretta Lynn. I mean, I'm just drawing a blank of all of the people that we have that supply us some goodies, and we have a little goodie chest that we pull things from. So you never know what we're going to be sending you, but make sure that you're sharing us with your friends, with your colleagues, and just go online. And we really focus on Instagram. So that's where you want to go for the Connie Pheiff Show. But we're out on Facebook too. But just keep sharing away and letting people know how much you enjoy our show. And I thank you for doing that. So a little bit about the show, a little bit about the Connie Pheiff Show and why people are listening. It's because we are a business radio show, but every single leader, every single person that have success, they've had those challenges along the way. And I'm sure those challenges are never going to stop, because people who are successful are always risking it. They're always taking that next step. They're always saying, what if we try this? What if we try this? And that's going to lead them to some place that maybe some of us never thought that we would go. It's that push that you need. It's that getting over that fear of what's beyond that curtain. And you can do it. You can really do it, but you just need to push yourself through. And when you do, you're going to find that business success that you've only been dreaming of. And that's what we're about here, because we are giving you the tools, the tips, the challenges from each of our guests, because they are here to share. And our guest today, she's gone viral. I mean, when I think of it, I'm just like, oh my God. When I first met her, she was speaking at a conference about telling her truth, about telling her story, about how she has been able to overcome and really move through those unexpected consequences of truth. And we have those naysayers and we have those followers, but it's just really incredible when even those naysayers that really push us through where we need to go next. So let me just really quick tell you a little bit about her. And then we have some amazing stories that we're going to share with her. So she's a writer, she's a leader, she's a speaker, and she's an entrepreneur. She is so passionate about the power of self-inquiry, I guess I'm going to throw out integrity in there as well, to get the truth of who you are, which ultimately leads you to self-mastery. I mean, she believes in self-awareness. She's the cornerstone of leadership in all realms, personal, professional, in society. And she is dedicated dedicated to continuing to own her own unfolding, which she shares in her writings, through her podcast, through her speaking, and also through the sacred circles that she holds. So welcome to the show. AdaPia, welcome. I'm so in awe of you and the work that you've done, and your speech, your talking, it's gone viral with your story. So I want to ask you, why do you think that is? Why do you think that happened, that so many people are truly interested in hearing what you have to share and how that's helping them and helping them overcome themselves, where they can truly be incredible?
Well, thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here. And it was so great to meet last year, because you were there when I gave that talk. And it was the first time that I had ever given a public keynote, let alone like such a personal one. I mean, I've been on panels and moderating business stuff for years, but this was like truly something else. And it's been a real journey of learning and a little bit of growing up out of a naive mindset, because I went into it thinking, if my intention is pure and true and I want to help people and sharing my story is doing that, I never imagined I would receive criticism, let alone the level of let's say criticism or trolling that's occurred, which is really unfortunate. But it's like this bittersweet. It's this level of like understanding that when you step up and when you step into your greatest purpose and you're true to yourself, that doesn't always sit well with other people for various reasons, and it's like this, it's like building a thick skin and building like an armor, but without it being a brick wall. So it's like, how do you find that balance between remaining open and vulnerable to the people that are receiving such benefit and even healing versus protecting yourself from essentially like attacks. And and so what happened with the video is I gave this talk on stage, the 20-minute talk. And then a company called Goalcast that makes motivational videos, they found the video online, the full talk, and they said, we think that this would be a fantastic talk to share with our audience. And what they do is they piece it together with stock footage and video and all these kinds of things. And so they did this. And what happened, which is really unfortunate, and this is a big lesson for a lot of people that want to do videos, is if you don't have creative control, someone else does. Yes. And I didn't have creative control. And I didn't get to see the video before it went out. And so it went out. And their intention behind the video was pure and true. But it didn't exactly represent the overall thing of my talk. Not entirely, but it was a beautiful video and it touched a lot of people.
I did see it. I'm picking up on what you're talking about.
So, so they were doing their best. I was doing my best, but that kind of like, it went sideways a little bit. But, it's been shared, I don't know, like almost 200,000 times. It's been viewed 30 million times. I received hundreds of messages from people saying thank you. But there's also a lot of comments on the video, which are very, very negative. And those are the ones that really hurt. And some people would even write me very negative comments. And so, it was just shocking, because you think naively, again, maybe I'm still really naive, is if my intention is good, why would anybody ever hate me? And they do.
I know. I had, something happened to me just a year ago, and the same thing. I guess I don't like to say it's somebody else's fault, but just like you're saying, I wasn't controlling. Not that I didn't have control of it. I was too busy over here that I was trusting somebody else over here to take care of what needed to happen with everything creative, around the business. And then it ended up crashing. And it was my name on the door.
Yeah.
And it was, well, you should have known better. You should have been on top of that. You should not have allowed that to happen. Mm-hmm. And it crushed me.
Yeah.
It truly crushed me. And I've been doing this now for 12 years. And I've have, I mean, you're going to not, it's, Windows friends and keep the enemies closer. And there's been people over the years, and you always go to those people that are negative. I remember early on speaking, I spoke in Philadelphia, and they told me, it was going to be like an audience of like 2,000 or so. So, I mean, I'm prepared for this huge audience, and it's early in my career. So I'm still a little naive about certain things. And I speak, and there may have been 500 people in an auditorium that seats about 5,000. So now it looks like, it looks like, is there anybody out there? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was trying to pull people closer and joking, we're not in church, you could come up here. But there was a guy who stayed in the back, and I noticed him. Mm-hmm. So I kept trying to pull him out, and and have conversations. And so at the end for the reviews, there were glowing reviews. Everybody loved it except one. Mm-hmm. And he just it was horrible. I mean, it was a horrible review. And he said, she put me to sleep. And I'm like, I was definitely, that's the one I paid attention to. But what I learned over the years is that you're always going to have those people, because people are people and you can't please everyone. But when this happened to me last year, it was just so much. I shut down. I built that wall. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And for a couple of months, I was just, I couldn't comprehend working with people, to the point where I even considered going back for a CEO position for a nonprofit. And in the airport on the way back, I heard someone else saying, "Oh, I'm the new CEO for this organization." And it was, well, first it was a kick in the gut. And I'm thinking, what the hell just happened? They begged me to come here. But when I look back on that, they must have seen or known that I wasn't fully engaged into that role. Yeah. But it also, for me, gave me that gift when I came back to say, this is where I need to be. Mm-hmm. This is, I need to be here. And the way I think and look at things completely changed. But there's always going to be those naysayers. And my coach, my mentor, and he said to me, because when you put yourself out there and you're vulnerable, and he goes, you're now a celebrity, you have to be prepared for that. Yeah. That it will happen. But what it means, and this is what I keep telling myself, and I have affirmations all over, what it means, he said, that you're doing it. You're doing the right thing, and you're putting yourself out there. You're taking those risks. And that's exactly what you did. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly right. Like, to put mm-hmm. oneself out there doesn't seem fair to invite in the criticism or really the projection, because a lot of it, when we take a step back and we look at it, when we can step back into compassion for the others, it's mm-hmm. really projection, and it's a lot of pain. That's coming up to the surface, and it's been through the vehicle of the internet in a way, like anonymous comments. Mm-hmm. It's almost like the shadow of the ego is given free reign, like nobody can hold it in. And and so that can be really hard. And a lot of people told me, that this is what happens. And in a way, unlike what you did, I did something very different for myself, which normally I would, like, that wall would be up, and it's like iron, and it's 10 feet deep, and you are not getting anywhere near me.
Right.
You're not. But something shifted in me, because I think the process of giving this talk and going into such a vulnerable place to talk about something that triggered so much shame for me, it really taught me to open up And so it took me on a different journey where I did open up a lot. And I actually was able to forged an even stronger relationship with my current husband, where he came in and just really supported me like emotionally through it. And I started doing these women's circles in the summer, and I started really pulling in this community around me and like meeting people like you also, and just like opening up to other women in business in a different way. Because usually my business conversations with women is very, very different. Right. And I work in like real estate and finance and technology. And so we're not having conversations about the soul, and we're not having conversations like this. But now I am, and it's just opened up it's just my heart. And I have really what I consider like a sisterhood and even a brotherhood, because there are a lot of men that stepped up to support me. And it was such a different place, because usually I'm the one offering support, and I am, but I'm just so much stronger by having other people around me who are there to say, you're doing good work. Yes. It's normal for us to fall a little bit into, I mean, you're triggered emotionally. And so the automatic reaction of the body is to go little, is to to close up, but we actually need to like open up and stand tall and stand strong, and knowing that a lot of people have my back, and I've got my back. And pushing through those tough times.
And for me, like I came back with that realization, saying like, I'm where I need to be. And then I opened up and I said, because I'll have clients that'll come to me and, they're struggling, and I'll say, all right, you got 5 minutes and we're going to move on. I give them that moment of sympathy, and I wasn't doing it for myself.
Right.
And then I went back to, my circle of close friends that I know who have my back. And they were like, what happened? And why are you feeling like this? And sometimes we look at it much, deeper than it was. But I also lost several family members at that same time. So I think it was just a combination of the website crash and our women's group, and then again that negativity, and then the family members. And then one day I just sat and cried. And I was talking to my daughter, and I said, I don't know who I was crying for. I said, but it was for everyone. And and I said, and it just flushed everything out, and it made me very stronger. And how and this is for everybody. It just, when you work through something and to come out on the other side, you are such a stronger person than when you went in thinking, how am I going to get through this? How am I going to make it happen? And we become much stronger people, and it's for men and women.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, what you just said about having that cry, when we work through things, we're working through it mentally. We're working through it like psychically, like intellectually, physically, and emotionally. And there's a lot of research around the need for us to release and purge emotionally. And because the body literally holds on to emotion. And if we don't let that emotion out somehow, it like magnetizes more of the same. So it's like we actually have to have this release. And interestingly, I am an executive mentor for second year MBAs at USC Marshall here in LA. Okay, and which has been just the most amazing program to be a part of with these students, and working with them one-on-one and as a group, and really like going through what I believe to be the cornerstone of leadership, which is self-awareness, and talking to them about some of these things. But even with them, like talking about like, do you give yourself emotional space, and how important that is to move through, like give yourself like a day or two or however much time you need. Sometimes things are bigger than others. Right. Feel it down to the bottom, like have your pint of ice cream and feel sorry for yourself for a day, but just let it go through and don't harbor it. And it does clear, like you said, and you come out the other side and you look back and you're like, oh, what was I so upset about? But you were in the moment. You were in the moment and you needed to be. And then you move on, and it doesn't stay in there and float around like, like that extra little piece of popcorn in the machine that you can't get out. And it spins around in there. Like, you need that to be completely clear.
You need to.
Yeah.
You need to. And that's one of the things. And, I've become a strong activist for Beyond Me Too. Mm-hmm. Because again, the same thing, people are getting into that place. And like you said, with that piece of popcorn, and they're just spinning that around and around and around, and they can't get out of there.
Yeah.
They need to push out. They need to move beyond that. And that's when the healing is going to happen. It's not going to happen while they stay in that place. But even for a lot of business leaders that I work with, again, you don't become a leader without obstacles, without something going the wrong way. But it's the fact and the point that we've been able to get through that and get to the other side. And our job, and how I feel, my job now is to help others that are going through that and pull them through.
Yeah.
And say, you can do this, and give them that space. Mm-hmm. Where they can go deep inside. But once they're able to do that, and then help them and pull them through and say, okay, now let's see what you can do. And you just become a much, much stronger person when you're able to do that.
Yeah. And I think so many more people are the better for it, because like you said before, like you had that opportunity to be a CEO, and it showed you where you actually need to be. And I wanted to touch on that again, because it's a lot of times we need to know or experience what we don't want in order to know what we do have. And a lot of times it's actually right in front of us. Like I had a really similar situation just about a month ago, where somebody introduced me into an opportunity to be the CEO of a company in like the spiritual meditation, mindfulness space, which a lot of people who know me would say, wow, that's like right up your alley. It sounds perfect for you, like how divinely timed. But there was something about it for me that I really had to watch myself. And this is where I put into practice a lot of the things that I talk to my students about, or that I'm like really working on with this self-inquiry and self-awareness, because what I recognized was that my ego really liked that idea.
Yeah.
Like my ego was like, ooh, CEO of this company, and like all these things, and go and like, turn it around, all this kind of stuff. And I recognized that, like I recognized the difference, because it threw me a little bit off center. And I went into the conversations, and what I did is I said, you know what, I'm going to take my ego out of the picture, and I'm going to approach this from as neutral a perspective as possible. So I approached it from the perspective of almost consultative, like I used to do consulting. So I said, okay, let's look at what you really need. And in the end, it's not me. And I was able to provide true service.
Right.
We just really talked through it and recognized that for everyone involved, we were actually on the same fence about, they have an opportunity to continue doing what they're doing without having to go through a more complex, raising venture capital, all that kind of stuff, which really is a lot. It's a lot of work, and can easily take you off of like path. Because if you can build a great business that gets you everything you want, then why add on this, which is just a level of prominence or
a level of bureaucracy? I mean, if you will, and that often or too often takes away from the mission.
That's right.
Yeah. So you want to stay focused on the mission. And I mean, yes, you want to stay focused on the dollars, because that's paying to put the lights on in the morning.
Yeah.
But you really want to stay focused and stay true to that mission. And I did something recently, but I didn't look at it. I did what you did, but I guess I didn't look at it as taking my ego away. I had a very prominent celebrity, very well known, wanted to hire me to represent him, to be his publicist. And we talked, and I turned him down. And he was like, why? His ego came into play, like, why? You can't say no to me. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to say no to you.
Yeah.
As much as I would love to add your name to my roster, I don't feel that I could serve you the way you need.
Exactly.
And give you what you need.
Yeah.
So I turned them down. I mean, even my team, they were like, you did what? I'm like,
yeah.
I don't think it's going to be a fit. We just weren't connecting.
Right.
So I felt it was best just leave it at that. And I said, no, we're not going to work together. So
yeah. So you did what without
realizing, right?
I'm always babysitting my ego. It's always like after shiny objects, and
right.
But what you did is like you were like, there's so much integrity in what you did.
Mm-hmm.
Can I serve you the best possible way?
Yes.
If I can't serve you from my heart and soul,
yes.
I won't be able to do the best possible job.
Yes. And that's what I ask every time. Can I serve this person to not what they need, but even beyond that?
Yeah.
Beyond what they need, because so many times, I mean, I know I'm a business coach, but when we do roundtable conversations or we're getting them booked or on TV or, being their publicist, I spend more time having, one-on-one conversations with them about personal things.
100%. Yeah.
Because it all starts there.
All does.
It all starts with the person.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm not a therapist or anything by no means, but I'm a great listener. And it all starts with that person. I lost a client. I say I lost her because through our conversations and coaching, she was struggling with, is my career more important than having a relationship with someone?
Wow.
And she was seeing someone, but not, and they were stayed away also, and that was comfortable for her. But because of things that happened to her as a child, we had conversations about that. And of course, I share my story as well. And within a couple of months, she calls me and says, I'm getting married.
Wow.
I was like, oh, that's great. So yeah, she got married, moved to him. And fortunately, she was able to keep her VP job at this Fortune 500 company.
There you go.
Even being a state away. So, I mean, it all worked out. So that was fantastic. So it's all about that person. And I really, and you talk about, intuition, instincts, your soul, and I do as well. So I before it was chasing the money, but for all of the, our lifestyle entrepreneurs that are listening, especially when you're early in the business, you're like, yeah, we got to take that. It's money.
Yeah.
But you're going to, hit that wall, hit that point where it's like, no, I really want to do this for the mission and really follow my intuition and my, I'm very intuitive as well. And that's even gotten stronger. So working with the clients, truly, truly helps that. Let's take a really quick break and we'll be right back. And I know we're going over in time for this one. So I love the conversation. So hang in there. We'll be right back. The Connie Pheiff Show is heard everywhere. You can find The Connie Pheiff Show on most of your favorite networks. It's time to now recognize and thank our major networks for all of their support. In the house, we have Conscious Business Radio, C-Suite Radio, Transformation Radio, iHeartRadio. We are also heard on Google Play, Apple, Radio, Stitcher, and so many more that I just can't keep up with them all. I'm Connie Pheiff, your unstoppable diva. Learn more about our gym and how we can work together at my fancy schwanky website, ConniePheiffShow.com. I'll see you over there. Until then, like, share. Now back to the show. And we are back, and you're listening to the Connie Pheiff Show. And our unstoppable guest today is AdaPia and Dorico. Am I saying that correct?
Dorico.
Okay, AdaPia Dorico. Yeah. And she's sharing her story of unexpected consequences of truth. And you haven't seen her video yet. You want to go out on YouTube and just look her up. And you want to watch this video. And it is... it's life-changing. It is truly life-changing. She shares her truth. She shares her story, her shame, and how she's been able to overcome that. And why I think it's so important. And I know I lived in shame for years because as a child, there was abuse, sexual abuse, physical, emotional abuse. And in my 20s, and AdaPia, I don't know if you know my story, because when I was listening to you, so in my 20s, after all of that, I got married at 19. Divorced at 23. I had 2 little babies. I had a 3-year-old and a 6-month-old when I got divorced. And then I dated anybody and everybody for the next couple of years. And, and I talk about sex, drugs, and rock and roll was my life at that point. Again, something, in me said, no, this isn't the life that you want.
Yeah.
And so for years, I was single for about 11 years. And for years, I lived with that shame that I wasn't good enough. Mm-hmm. Nobody wanted me. I actually, and I never talk about this, I actually got married again. That lasted 3 months.
Wow.
I called him my Italian stallion. It was the Italian stallion, let me tell you. So let's say no more about that one. That was 3 months. And then I married another guy who lasted 6 months, physically living together. It was probably only a month. He was in the military. He was my girlfriend's brother. I knew him my entire life. And, he was going to sweep me away from all of this.
Right.
That lasted 6 months on paper, I guess you could say. And then I stayed single for 11 years. And that's when I really started working on myself. And it took a long, long, long time to push through that shame.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't feel that I was worthy. I was married so many times. And I even went to this group, Beginning Experience, which is where they really served me well, and where I learned how to move beyond that, share my story. And then I started consulting, and then of course moved up, became, director at the U.S. Chamber. So I really focused on my career.
Yes. Yeah.
And then from there, I became CEO of the Girl Scouts, director at a local chamber, CEO of the Girl Scouts in Pennsylvania. But it was always about my career.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I understand that. Yeah.
Okay. Right. So you understand that.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I mean,
right.
I was 22 when I got married, and I didn't have the courage, I guess, to really face up to the pressure to say yes. I mean, there's a lot about it. And when I went on stage, like, the purpose of my talk wasn't to air dirty laundry about a marriage or to blame anyone, because there's nobody to blame.
Right. And that's what I don't want to do.
And that's, and that's not how everybody sees it, which that's the unfortunate thing. Right. And,
yes.
But, I made the decision that I made. I made it thinking I was doing the right thing. Ironically thinking that I wouldn't hurt anybody by saying yes, but actually I hurt myself because fundamentally wasn't really truly ready. And so you cave to all this pressure, which there's real pressure around relationships and marriage, and the shame that comes in. And it's still there, because I'm seeing it in some of these comments from people. It's shocking, actually, what this judgment that's leveled at women specifically. And, when I left, and because I've always been very ambitious, very career driven. And so I went into finance, I did my thing. I was at hedge funds, I was in insurance, I was in banking. And so when I left, I focused very much on career, and and I became very stalwart in who I am. I won't put up with anything. But we do. And so then it's I call the ego the acceptable identity, and it does this on multiple levels. And then it's who am I in career? And so a couple of years ago, after having built up this new career and this new life in America, because I was in Italy at the time I was married, I came to America back here, and I started building this career in financial technology here in LA, Silicon Beach. There's all this stuff going on. And I became part of the fintech industry, and a very well-known, prominent female executive. And so that was my identity.
Yes.
And when that fell apart a couple of years ago, when that started falling apart, it was this major ego death of this acceptable identity of, well, I can't, what will people think? What will...
Who am I now? I know.
Who am I?
Right. When I lost my position as CEO, I was crushed. And a lot of it, I went back to, because I used to say like the judgment when, when I left my husband the first time, I mean, the daddy, the father of my children, there were no other kids after that. But the judgment from family, and the family was the worst, just the worst. And like you came out and talked about it. I wrote a book. I haven't published it yet.
Oh, wow.
And part of it for me, like my mom, actually, she's gone 3 years tomorrow. She's gone 3 years tomorrow. And I didn't grow up with her, but before she passed, we got to spend some time together. And we talked through a lot of, what had happened, in my childhood and different things. And so I wrote a book. And so the biggest fear right now of my family is that I'm going to release that book because I know about it.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, I mean, I actually just finished my manuscript and it's in editing right now. The first book, and it largely goes into that story of like, who was I? And it's like a self-inquiry journey, because the preparation for that speech actually kicked me into this even deeper level of self-awareness. Like all of this, like a lot of the things that I said on stage, this was like 9 years ago, right? I had no idea that was living in my psyche until I was preparing for the speech. I had no idea any of that was going on. And so anyway, so then I went into the book, and then it went even deeper into like pulling out all the shame and what I've really learned from the process, and what you mentioned too. And I'm noticing from the hundreds of people who write to me, men as well. It's the silence. Shame and silence are like co-conspirators. And when somebody stands up on stage or in any situation and tells the truth about something that is shame inducing and like you throwing judgment, right? A lot of judgment. It's easy to judge. But when we're strong enough, and sometimes I don't know if I am, but I have to be, I guess, like to stand up and do that, because there are a lot of people who can't, like truly, legitimately, their life could be at risk. If they got up and told the truth. And, and so I think like there's this level of, I don't know if you want to call it privilege or what, but it's like, I can, and I have to, and I just have to get over the discomfort that it's that clearing, and going back to what I had said before, being an activist for Beyond Me Too, but it's that clearing, it's that cleansing, sharing it, putting it out there. I finally did, in certain aspects. And, the one group that I was part of, really learning about myself. And again, it was a leadership program, but it starts with the person. And we had to do our Sankofa, which I do now with people, having them go back and understanding their history and their family and those genetics. I still didn't know I was adopted yet at that point. Oh my God. When I did that, I only found out about that a couple of years ago. Wow. So that even gave me more clarity on top of everything else that I've went through. But I remember going in there, and you had to do like, a flip chart and prepare it ahead of time and bring it in. So I did like the graphics of the family, and and the side I chose to do it on was not even my real side of the family, which was even funny, but that was the only side that I was ever aware of. I see. And that was also my abusive side. But I didn't know, what was going on over here yet. So I go in there, and again, I'm total shame about what had happened, total shame about being divorced. I mean, it was, like I said, the judgment I had was just like, so anyway, I go in there with the flip chart. I put it up on the wall, and on the bottom over here, I listed my marriages, and then I did this, and I taped it.
Okay, I wrote it, but nobody's going to see it.
Yeah, that one needs a little more time. It's just a little more time. I get it.
It's just baby stuff.
Yeah. No, but you have to take baby steps. I mean, you can't just it's such a shock to the system. Good on you for even writing it out. I mean, yeah.
So they were like, well, what's under the flip? I'm like,
nothing.
We're not sharing that. There's nothing there to share.
Yeah.
So then, about 2 years later, because then I became a consultant with that group. I trained with them to do that.
Yeah.
So about 2 years later, we were doing, one of our classes. And, one of the facilitators always gives their Sankofa as an example. So, and I had just come back from, Kentucky and finding everything out. And the other facilitators looked at me and said, do you want to redo yours? And they said, you could take the tape off the corner this time.
Right. Wow. What a story. Yes, oh my gosh.
So I redid it. And it's still unraveling. It's still unfolding.
Of course.
And, it'll just continue. I found that I have relatives probably in every state in the U.S.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And I'm going to a family reunion this summer to meet more of the other side of the family from the Appalachian Mountains.
Wow. How amazing. Yeah. How amazing. Well, I do hope you will publish your book one day when you're ready. I'd say this to a lot of people that reach out to me, and I say it's all time. Give yourself time and space and so much compassion, and take it a step at a time. I mean, when people see, whether it's me or you or anyone else, we all project our stories or what we think is going on onto a screen a lot of times, especially if it's by experience of the video is really to me, I'm like, wow, I got up on stage. Like, I'm not anybody special.
How do you feel looking back at that now that you shared that you put that message out there?
I'm just humbled by the people. I'm focusing on the people that are healing or getting something out of it. I mean, there are definitely bad days where I kind of wish I could take it down, but at the same time, I just know that I believe in fate and free will and destiny. Like, there's things that are fated. We have free will and our choice. That's where our power is, the power to choose. And that's where I think knowing yourself so well and so deeply allows you to make better choices. And then this level of destiny. And every time I think I can maybe get away from it, it brings me right. It is just brings me right back. And I'm proud of the video. I'm proud of speaking my truth. And I'm grateful for everyone who's been on this journey, including Goalcast for believing in the video and still believing in me. And I'm not here to blame or shame or judge anyone. And that's the thing. It's where does judgment still live in me?
Right.
And where can I identify that in myself so that I'm not perpetuating more of the same unconsciously?
Right.
And my intention is to continue doing what I'm doing. I'm going to publish the book. I'm still doing my podcast and, talking about people's journeys of finding their inner meaning. And it's largely this awakening journey of waking up to meaning and what is meaningful and knowing ourselves and to more speaking. People have been asking me and I'm just kind of building this internal strength to be able to go back out and working through the criticism and how that affects me energetically and emotionally and getting stronger in order to do bigger work. Cause
we should talk. We should definitely talk about that. I didn't want to cut you off, but we could sit here for another couple of hours. Let's bring lunch in.
Right. I know. It's been such a beautiful conversation.
It has really. So let our listeners know where they could find you. I know you're on social everywhere, but let them know where they could find you.
Yeah, well, my parents gave me an easy name to find. So AdaPia Dorico. And even if you just Google AdaPia, ADAPia, I come up. So AdaPiaDorico.com is my website. I blog, I'm a writer, and I have a podcast called Real Wealth, Real Health. And mostly I'm on Instagram. Like that's my favorite kind of place to be. I have a Real Wealth, Real Health Facebook page. But it's really like Instagram, or for those of us on the business side, I'm definitely on LinkedIn.
Yes.
So, reach out. I try to respond to everybody. I really do. I love to connect with people. So if anybody wants to connect, I'm very available for them.
Well, thank you for being here. I'm just in awe of the work that you do, and just super excited that we had an introduction by our other mutual friend, Damon.
Yes.
So just very, very grateful for that. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Connie.
Well, that's all we have for today. And I don't know about you, but I could just continue talking about this. And I know I mentioned my book, and I actually will be coming out with that. I'm working with the publisher, and they're kind of giving me that, okay, it's ready to go now. But I had promised my mom that I would wait a couple of years after she had passed. So I think 3 years is good now. I have my ending, so we'll be getting that out, and I'll be sharing more of my story to help other people really understand that you can move beyond, and you can really find a happy and successful life with that. So I'm Connie Pheiff, and I'm also a recovering CEO, but we will continue moving ideas forward and keeping the passion of life activated. Make sure you check out our advertising opportunities at theconniepfeifshow.com. And if you are, if you have found that success and you're saying, I want more, and I want, but I just don't know how to do that, give me a call, because our talent concierge, that's what we are doing. We are working with the world's most, I want to say daring minds, risk-taking minds, who are keeping the passion of life activated. And you can learn more about that at talentconcierge.co. So that's all we have for today. And remember, we are unstoppable together. And I'm going to leave you with this one simple thought, but it's very powerful. Laugh today. Just laugh today. Enjoy yourself. You're listening to The Connie Pheiff Show. Remember, share us with your colleagues. Find us on Instagram and share away. Make sure you're tagging me, tag AdaPia, and we'll get some gifts out to you as well. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye. Hey, y'all, it's Connie Pheiff. Thank you for listening to The Connie Pheiff Show. Check back often. You don't want to miss any of the good stuff. If you like what you hear and would like to be a guest on the show, head over to theconniepfeifshow.com to apply. While you're there, check out our amazing advertising opportunities that will put you right in front of your perfect client. I will see you over there. Do yourself a favor this week. Activate your power and be unstoppable together.